Duke Ellington's symphonic work, Black, Brown, and Beige, was premiered at Carnegie Hall on January 23rd, 1943. Described by Ellington as, quote, a parallel to the history of the Negro in America. He strove to write a tone parallel to Black history. In his first ever article, published in the British music journal Rhythm, he wrote, "The music of my race is something more than the American idiom. It is the result of our transplantation to American soil, and was our reaction in the plantation days to the tyranny we endured. What we could not say openly, we expressed in music, and what we know as jazz is something more than just dance music." About his legendary piece, Black, Brown, and Beige, he wrote, "I am therefore now engaged on a rhapsody unhampered by any musical form, in which I intend to portray the experiences of the colored races in America in the syncopated idiom. I am putting all I have learned into it in the hope that I shall have achieved something really worthwhile in the literature of music, and that an authentic record of my race written by a member of it shall be placed on record." Check out Brent Hayes Edwards' article, Duke Ellington Really Just Wanted to Be a Writer, if you would like to read more about Ellington's literary sensibilities. The article examines the narrative-esque approach to a lot of his music, which almost always strives to tell a specific story or a narrative, his creative process, and even his own love for literature. All of these ideas paint a very interesting picture of Duke and his music. In this video, we'll take a look at one of the pieces contained within the third portion of the piece, Beige, entitled Sugar Hill Penthouse. This piece alone is quite a suite of its own, following a very intense portion of the music described by Jazz and Lincoln Center's Chris Crenshaw as such. The thought of Freedom Papers enters the fray as the hopeful trumpet and trombone come back and celebrate what they think is a new beginning. Instead, the new beginning is revealed to be only a false hope as the dreams of the slaves and soldiers wither under the stern masters of Reconstruction, Jim Crow, lynching, and other monstrosities designed to impede progress. This is all summed up on the blues, with tense chords, mournful wails, and sudden shrieks. When we hear the dreaded slam of a floor tom with low woodwind accompaniment, we realize that the doors that should have been opened by past sacrifices have been shut. Ellington sets up the beginning of the piece with a sparse and mystical sound, contrasting the intensity that came right before it. Let's take a look at how he achieves the sound. Looking at the first measure, crunching down all of the wide intervals gives us a very simple melody, and he further colors this F major-y sound with this line that uses fourths and is centered around the F major pentatonic scale. And throughout this section, you'll see that he likes to use these very large leaps and jumps and intervals, and that really contributes to the very open and kind of airy sound to the introduction. In the next measure, Duke used a very similar technique, spreading out all the intervals, but still having an underlying simple melody. And he further embellishes the melody with a little 16th note flourish in fourths, with the same F major sound in fourths being present. Finishing up the intro, Duke spells out this very wonderful C13 chord spelled out in fourths, once again touching on that very open quality of the sound. We can also notice that the rest of the rhythm section follows Duke in his phrasing, with the bass and the bell of the cymbal, played by the drums, happening with all of the 16th note flourishes. And then finally they build with Duke in the large C13 chord going into the beginning of the piece. I could really spend all the time in the world just on this intro. There really is so much there, and it's really a testament to how incredibly detailed Duke was with his writing and how intentional he was. We open the piece with a conversation between the solo baritone saxophone melody and the rest of the saxophone section. Ellington uses fairly standard closed position writing for the rest of the accompanying horns while the baritone sax melody plays. The rest of the saxophones then respond to Harry Carney's call with a similar descending 16th note line. It really is impressive how Duke Ellington is able to use the baritone saxophone as the lead voice, the lead melodic voice, and he utilizes the instrument in a very nice lyrical vocal register. And in order to support that voice, he uses the rest of the saxophones in a relatively low but very rich register to create a lovely sound. Thank you all for watching. This truly is one of my favorite pieces by Duke Ellington, or really any composer at that. And yeah, in the next video, we'll look at the rest of the piece.